You just have to go out, put yourself out there, try it out, and you have to give yourself no option but to succeed.
Yeah.
Like the bar was that. I don't know what I was getting myself into, and I said, I'm just going to do it. My mom was against it. My mom said, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. And I said, nope, I'm going to do it. And I did it. 4 months later, I said, look, I already made my money back. Real estate's been the same way. But real estate's a little bit harder because you don't make money right away.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. If you're new here, this is the show where we bring you the top minds and rising stars in Northeast Florida real estate, agents, brokers, and industry pros who are making moves and raising the bar. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the Jacksonville market, bilingual, business savvy, and driven by service. Before stepping into real estate, she built her foundation in corporate recruiting with Deutsche Bank, supporting teams across California, New York, and right here in Jacksonville. She's also no stranger to entrepreneurship, owning and running her own bar before driving full-time into real estate. Now she's thriving as a real estate advisor with the 904 Home Guide team at Real Broker, where she specializes in relocation, seller representation, and helping military families navigate major moves. As a former military spouse herself, she brings not just market knowledge, but empathy, strategy, and serious negotiation. She's also stepping into leadership as the 2025 Vice Chair of NEFAR's Young Professionals Network. Known for her grit, creativity, people-first mindset, she's helping clients write the next chapter of their lives, whether they're buying their dream home or cashing out at top dollar. Joining me today is Karen Saez.
Hi.
How you doing? Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Saez.
Saez.
It's okay. Close enough.
Yeah. Who was it the other day I had? Oh, it was Caitlin with Market Makers, and she told me how to pronounce her last name before, and then when I don't know, I had a brain.
When it came down to it.
I had a brain fart when it came
It's
to
okay.
the showtime there. But Karen, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, you know, I've been watching what you've been doing. Follow you on social media. What you do, you do a great job with your stories and Instagram. Wish you do a little bit more on Facebook. You need to put some stuff over on Facebook. Your Facebook is kind of
lacking a little bit.
Because when I want to send my cards out every month, I look for pictures on Facebook, and I have to go.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to feed
Noted.
me some material there. But really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm excited. You just had a great month. Mm-hmm. So let's start off with that. Tell us, you had some sales, and actually one sale got bumped out a little bit.
Two got bumped out.
Two got bumped out. So you would have even had a bigger month.
Yeah.
So what kind of started that? Did that start about 60, 90 days ago? What built up to having such a big October?
I would say started so last month was what, October?
Mm-hmm.
We just finished October.
Yep.
So that started, one of them started since June. So I've been working with this client for a while, since June. They're downsizing. So they were initially looking at condos. We looked at about 11 condos and then quickly realized, hey, this isn't what we want. It's way too small. We're coming from like a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot home into a condo. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
So quickly learned that, and then we started looking at homes. Single family homes. We looked in E-Town. They said, no, this isn't a fit. Then they sent me a house in E-Town. They're like, yeah, we want to move you in E-Town. I'm like, it's E-Town. We said no. But they know what they wanted, and finally we made it happen. So yeah, that happened for a while. Since June, I've been working with those clients, and then the other one was super nice and easy. He knew exactly what he wanted. We found it, and within 30 days, we closed on it.
Cool. And then what were some, we were talking earlier, as I saw some stats, and I don't know if like I said, Ricky Caruth or Jared James was talking about deals falling out. Some of these deals haven't fallen out. They've just gotten bumped for you. What are some of the reasons or challenges that you're having that I'm sure some of the agents listening are having as far as some of these getting bumped out a little bit, or you're having to extend the contract?
So I can talk on 3 of them that I come to mind right away. Yeah. Actually, 4 of them. People selling their houses has been an issue. So it's easy for me, I'm great. Like once you tell me what you want in a home, I'm able to find it relatively quickly. But it's the other side. Like I have one client who's moving from Maryland. We've been under contract since July 19th, and we're now in November, and she still has not been able to sell her house. So that closing has been getting pushed out every single month, and now we're looking at hopefully closing in December. But still, I think that's a big hurdle that we're having to face here is people selling their homes in order for them to buy a new one.
Right.
In some cases, as you know, you can do bridge loans, but in this particular case, she's buying new construction, and she's not able to do that.
She's not able, because I think I might have a solution for, in case someone's listening right now and you're having a similar situation that Karen's having. The product we have, we call it Purchase Edge here. And what it does is we will put a contract on her home. Obviously, we're doing the loan that she's using to buy the next home, right? That's why we're in the game as a lender. We will put a purchase her home under contract and take it out of the debt ratio. Now, obviously, if she needs a bridge loan, if she's got enough equity, we've done that too, where we've given her even a bridge loan against her home she's selling so that she can have at least a small down payment to get that deal to happen. But what it does, it gives you 4 more months to sell her current home. So if she was closing today, or what we would do 7 days before closing, so basically next week we would put a contract on it today, take it out of the debt ratio, close next week on the home she's moving into. You still have 120 days from today, so basically 4 more months to sell that home. Now, if no one wants that home and wants, ultimately it's 75 cents on the dollar. It doesn't sound attractive, but generally in most cases, if you're able to, I would call you and say, hey, can you sell this home in 4 months? Well, yeah, we probably could. And if we dropped it $10,000 or $15,000, it would probably go. She's just trying to get maximum. At some point, she's going to make that decision.
Right.
And if you are comfortable with it, obviously makes them feel that, hey, we could sell this in the next 120 days. I just need to move now.
Right. The problem is that I'm not her agent in the sale. She lives in Maryland. So I referred her to another agent because the one that she had clearly wasn't doing the job correctly.
Yeah.
Lack of communication and some other things. So she's now working with a new agent, and hopefully we can get under contract on her sale.
Current home, yeah.
Her current home.
Now, well, when I just did last month, they were down in Wellington, so the agent I was working with here was not their agent there. And Tom, my partner, he just did one in Nashville, which he did do a bridge loan. They had plenty of equity, but because of their income, they couldn't afford both houses, and they wanted to move, and they were able to put that together. But so agents out there who are listening, if you have some contingencies, give me a call because we could possibly put something together. Obviously, we want to get how much equity we're working with and that sort of thing. So you can get the sale. Luckily, because a lot of clients are like, oh, just rent. Hopefully, this one, of course, obviously, you've been able to hold on and hold the builder.
Right.
The builder's been holding in place. So,
all right. I've had to switch houses multiple times, but yeah.
Yeah, but these are you got another story? Is that
another one? Is the same thing, new construction, but it's an independent builder, and we're just having a big issue with him finishing the work.
Oh.
So we were supposed to close October 17th. They got pushed to the 31st to give him more time. Now we're November 13th, and we still are hopefully closing tomorrow.
You would think they would have motivation like, hey, man, let's get this thing to closing so I get my cash and get paid, right?
Yeah. I've been working on this house for over a year, and it's for a dear friend of mine from high school. So it's obviously all of my deals are important to me, but when it's like a close friend from like back in the day from high school, it's like near and dear to my heart.
You're stressing, yeah. You're already stressing no matter who it is, but then the fact that you know this person.
It's a little bit more personal.
You don't want them talking stuff at the holiday parties about you. It's not your fault. Hopefully hopefully the builder is just really doing great work and just taking a little bit more time.
That's exactly
and you're just going to get that much better of a home.
That's right.
Great. So kick back a little bit. Let's get a little bit background on your story. Okay. You're working as a recruiter. Is that what it was?
So I was a recruiter for Deutsche Bank. I was overseeing the operations division. Like I was overseeing a wealth management and a couple other divisions for the bank right here off of Gate Parkway, so not far from here. And we recruited hundreds of people. We had to transfer them from California to Jacksonville, or we would recruit for positions in California, New York, and obviously here in Jacksonville as well. And I did that
because this is considered Deutsche Bank. This is their U.S. headquarters is here, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, they have a separate. No, I think the one that's in New York.
In New York is the headquarters.
New York, yeah.
But they have a big office here in Jacksonville.
So we had 2 campuses. I think now they closed one campus, and now they're on the big 3-story building off of Gate Parkway.
Right.
That's the one I worked at.
What'd you think about that business? I mean, obviously there's a little bit of salesmanship, but how far did you take it as a recruiter?
So I started working for a staffing agency. So I was a recruiter for like admin, for coach. So I would hire like their call center people and I would do their interviews and their training. And that was really cool. And then Deutsche Bank found me on LinkedIn and recruited me to work for them as a recruitment partner. Mm-hmm. So it was more of like an upgrade, I guess you would say. I worked really closely with Brian Fay, which is like the CEO of the Jacksonville branch here. And it was a really fun job. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed calling people and just saying, hey, you got the job after going through 7 or 9 rounds of interviews. So that was really exciting. So I did the fun part of recruiting, right? Not the, hey, you're fired.
That's part of the HR part of that. That's HR.
Handle that.
Well, I think if you haven't been trained to interview, it's a skill that I think a lot of young people should actually learn, because when they are not the actual interviewer, they're being interviewed, they understand and are prepared in how to address the questions, right?
Yes.
You were a young person. Now, obviously, hopefully you're going to spend the rest of your life, assuming you want to spend the rest of your life being a real estate agent, so you won't be interviewing per se for any jobs, but the skills that you learn there. And I would imagine that some of your friends who are going out for interviews to try to get jobs you're giving them some tips.
Yeah, I would do the resumes for them even. Yeah. Like I would sit there and redo the resume so they could get, higher up, because we'd get 150 resumes for one position.
Yeah.
And a lot of them you're looking for keywords. But I'll tell you how I use my skills that I learned being a recruiter in real estate. Mm-hmm. I'm interviewing buyers, I'm interviewing sellers, whether we're a good fit for each other, because not everyone's going to be a good fit for me, and I'm not going to be a good fit for everyone. So I'm able to translate those skills that I learned as a recruiter into real estate. Also, when I started interviewing brokerages and teams to work with, I was sitting there interviewing them and see how we could be a potential good match or not.
Yeah.
So I was able to use those skills and, move them into real
estate. It's a great skill. I recommend it to anyone out there or any young people. Learn how to be an interviewer, because you'll be a better interviewee.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And you have to apply your listening skills, right? Like you're asking the question and you got to be quiet.
Yeah.
And just let them talk, because you're going to discover more things. Like a seller, you understand, why are you selling? Right? So you're asking them the questions, you're interviewing them, and then they're telling you all their pain points, and then it's your job to listen and to figure out how you can solve their problems.
Yep, 100%.
So it works.
So, so a solid pre-real estate skill, no doubt. Sure. That was hugely valuable to you. I know you, at a luncheon, you told us briefly about your entrepreneurship into the bar. So tell us how you went from the recruiter to the bar owner.
So funny story, my girlfriends and I went to Tulum, so 3 of us went to Tulum, and we were all from Jacksonville, and I was like, we don't have any kind of cool bars in Jacksonville. We're all in our mid-20s, and I was like, we should do something like this in Jacksonville. So my girlfriend's boyfriend at the time, he owned restaurants and whatnot, so I called him one day and I was like, hey, we should maybe find something together, and I'll help you run it. You just be the, kind of like my guide and my mentor, and then I'll run it. So that's kind of how it happened. He called me one day and he said, hey, I know someone that's selling their bar. We're going to buy it as an existing business. This is how much money I need from you. Do you have it? And I was like, oh, yeah, I actually do. So we went partners in that, and I worked at Deutsche Bank Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then from 6 or 7 p.m. until 2 or 3 a.m. on the weekends, I would be working managing the bar.
Wow.
All on my own. So it was exhausting for a while.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I became a bar owner. Again, learned lots of cool little skills that I use now. How to run a team, how to hire. I didn't even know how to bartend at all. I never touched a drink in my life. I would drink, right? I would be a consumer, but never made them.
Right.
I put myself through a bartending course just so I could learn how to make the drinks, and I could train other bartenders or just understand and know that they were doing it correctly. So I did that for almost 3 years. And then I realized this isn't the kind of lifestyle that I want for myself.
Yeah.
Great money. I made my investment back in 4 months, which was amazing. Super profitable business, but it just wasn't what I wanted. It was, like I said, it was making great money, but it wasn't fulfilling me. I was sitting there serving alcohol and tobacco to people, and I just wasn't fulfilled.
Right.
My son was 6 at the time, and I was spending a lot of time away from him, working weekends. So I would be with my mom every weekend, and I would be working at a bar at nights, just alcohol, drunk people. And I just decided this isn't what I want for myself anymore. I put the business for sale. It took many, many months, many tears. Finally sold it, and then I sold it in December. And I said, I'm just going to get my real estate license. I don't want to go back to corporate. I just kind of want to do my own thing. And I got my license. A little bit of backstory.
Yeah, give us the backstory and what led you to real estate. started to get you intrigued about that?
So my dad, I grew up in New Jersey, and my dad was a part-time builder, I would say. He would find a piece of property and he would just build out. He had his GC license and he would build houses. Not many, maybe 4 or 5 a year. So it would be around the whole construction process, how they would dig up the hole to put the concrete down for the basements, because it's like Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And I would be around for it all. The framing, the drywall, all of it. The painting, he would actually take me with him to select certain colors and certain things. So I grew up around real estate.
Right.
Never in my wildest dream did I think I'm going to be a realtor one day. Never. So I was always around real estate. I always liked it. I always had kind of like a little interest in real estate. He also owned apartment complexes. So I would help him go like door to door. This was many years ago. So we would go door to door knocking, asking for rent. My dad doesn't speak Spanish. Obviously I do. And so he would have some tenants that only spoke Spanish. And I was like 12, 13 years old, going around asking people for rent or like translating letters for him in Spanish. So that's kind of what got me like a little interested in real estate. And then once I sold the business, I said, hey, what can I do that's a business that I can just go all in on and something that I like? And I remember like in real estate, and I sold my own house. That was my first thing that I ever did for my own, was sell my own house. So I said, let me just go dive full force into real estate. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, you got me intrigued now, because that what you just said I did not know. You're obviously, I assume your dad's American. I assume your Spanish comes from your mom.
Yep. So she's Colombian.
She's Colombian.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just find it, because I've had some like Jocelyn, and then there's been some others that, she didn't even know the language, even though she was born in New York, but she grew up in Puerto Rico, but she didn't know and just some great people that have come here and done some great things.
Actually, I wasn't born here either.
Mm.
I was born in Colombia, and I moved here when I was 8 years old to New Jersey.
Okay. Well,
same thing. Literally went to school, didn't speak any English, but I had like a private teacher that would come to the house. So I learned it pretty quickly in about maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah.
But it was rough. I walked around with a little translator, just typing in one little word and showing it to my friends at school, and it was an interesting story.
No, that's another tidbit I did not know about you. I mean, because I am working on my book about the show. I'm loading. That's why you see a lot of the blogs going out right now about not only the current people I've had on, but people I've had on a couple years ago, is because I'm creating all in the blogs, and then we're going to put, but the underlying meaning, or one of the biggest chapters, is going to be a grit, and the grit that a lot of successful real estate agents have, and things they've overcome in their life. Coming here and learning a whole nother language. Now, fortunately enough, it sounds like your parents were fluent, and a standpoint was able to hire you, a tutor or whatever to teach you that on the side. But still, that's a huge taking on to learn a whole nother language. And then just your stories, your willingness to go out there and put it out on the line, and that you did there owning the bar. I'm sure that taught you a lot about yourself. You had to learn a little bit. Not only were you managing people, but the people that were coming in, you had to learn a little. You've had to take some of those skills to the real estate world as well.
Oh yeah, I met a lot of people. Actually, 2 people that knew me from the bar became my clients. One of them was a young military guy, and as soon as he followed me on Instagram, as soon as I sold the business and he realized that I was in real estate, he asked me to help him buy a house. Right. VA loan, zero, like nothing out of pocket. So it turned out great. And then his dad wanted to buy a house, so I helped him buy a house as well. There was another person that wanted my help in helping them sell his house, and well, so that was really
I'm a strong believer in, I think we don't test our young people enough anymore to take on challenges, because we're afraid they might fail, when that's actually better for them to fail than to just try something and it's easy for them and they succeed and get all the accolades very easily. It generally doesn't last long. But when they're actually challenged out there, whatever it may be, it just makes them a better person. And I think you've taken on challenges, and I'm sure, like you said, you were in tears selling the bar. You've put yourself in situations and have come through. But now as a real estate agent, you're going out there to meet a new client, and everyone's different. As we know, every transaction's different. I say that all the time. Every client's different. You don't know who you're going to be working with necessarily, but you have the confidence. I'm going to figure this out I'm going to make the leap, and I'll figure it out on the way down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how everything is in life. You just have to go out, put yourself out there, try it out, and you have to give yourself no option but to succeed.
Yeah.
Like the bar was that. I don't know what I was getting myself into. And I said, I'm just going to do it. My mom was against it. My mom said, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. And I said, nope, I'm going to do it. And I did it. 4 months later, I said, look, I already made my money back. Real estate's been the same way. Yeah. But real estate's a little bit harder because you don't make money right away. And so now talking about real estate a little bit, when I first started, I sold a bar in December. I took like 3 weeks off, didn't work, went on vacation. It was great. And then started January and I hit the ground running with real estate. But I wasn't used to having a schedule, right? Or I didn't know what kind of schedule I should have to be successful in real estate. So the first 2 months, I didn't make any money. Zero. Yeah. Like no money. Because why? Because I was going to Pilates at 10. And then I was going to lunch with a friend thinking, oh, this is networking. This is going to get me somewhere. Those friends didn't buy from me until I started.
You can't go out with the same friend all the time. Yeah. They get once every few months maybe.
Yeah. So once I learned that and I was like, hey, like it's been 2 months into this and I'm not making any money. Like I got to figure something out. I started going to classes. I started watching stuff online, buying courses to teach myself a little bit more about real estate. And then I just became a little bit more structured because if not, I knew I wasn't going to be successful at it.
Now, did you start off with the with Mike right away, or where'd you start off?
I started at Coldwell Banker as a solo agent. The realtor that sold me my house here in Jacksonville was with Coldwell Banker. So as soon as he found out that I had my license, he invited me to a marketing class at Coldwell Banker. Right. They have, or I don't know if they still do or not, but when I was at Coldwell Banker, they had a great training program. They put you in this training program for like 2 weeks, and they teach you all the contracts. They teach you scripting. They have great marketing materials. So that's kind of why I was drawn to Coldwell Banker, but I was a solo agent. So getting my own leads was all up to me. I wasn't buying any leads. I had to grind and get my own leads.
All right, so let's dive into that a little bit because I think it's very important because I often think that there are some new agents. I'd like to think some of the people listening to the show are thinking about getting into real estate. But then again, there's also some people who've probably been with their initial brokerage now and they're not really blossoming like they would hope to. If you were to do it again, this is the first question I want to ask. If you were to do it again, knowing what you know now, how would you start differently? Would you have done something differently?
I think so. I think I went with Coldwell Banker because a friend worked there. Instead of putting myself first and figuring out what I needed. The marketing, like I said, was great, but it wasn't my style of marketing. So maybe I would look for a brokerage that offered either my style of marketing or I would hire somebody to do my marketing for me. So that's what I would do differently. Again, interview. Yeah. They're not interviewing you. They want you to work for them. Right. Or with their brokerage. So you're interviewing them. Go out there, meet as many brokers as you can, interview with as many of them as you can, and figure out what you really want out of a brokerage and start with that.
I want to still stay on this subject, but you just said something that I think is very important. And one of my last guests, 2 guests ago, Kevlin Guzman, she's the regional vice president with Coldwell Banker War Guard in Manhattan. Okay, so she's dealing with a lot of high-level people selling a lot of high-volume things, and one of the things we talked about is finding the marketing that works. How does she, as part of retaining people in the brokerage, you've got to obviously add value to all these 120 people that she has basically, I don't want to say reporting to her, but she reports to them, right? She's helping them, and we talked about breaking down the importance of finding what marketing is your way of marketing. What's Karen's way of marketing is different than Mike's way of marketing, for example. What was it that you made that statement that their marketing wasn't quite, what is your way? What have you found your way to be?
I would say more personable, just the colors, the fonts, simple things like that. You have to figure out what grabs people's attention. You have to study a lot. You have to ask ChatGPT a lot of questions. Right. And I feel like Coldwell Banker was just, here's what we have. We're going to use the same colors for our branding, for Coldwell Banker's branding, and that's what you got to go with. Right. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't really like this dark blue. It's too dark. Like, I want something that's more, neutral tones or whatever my branding was. And they didn't have that along with other things. So I was like, oh, I think it's best for me to part ways and go somewhere else. And then again, within my first year, I felt like I could still learn a lot more. So I decided to join the 904 Home Guide team. Right. Mike had been a great cheerleader since literally my first email I sent out, just saying, because I started sending out emails to as many agents as I could. I sent so many that I got blocked. My email blocked me. But I would just say, hey, like, I'm a bilingual realtor. If you guys have any clients that speak Spanish, send them my way. I'll pay your referral fee.
Right.
And that was my email. And then Mike saw that and he was like, hey, let's connect. Let's grab coffee. Okay. Again, me not knowing anything, I was grabbing coffee with everyone that offered me free coffee. So I was like, yeah, let's meet up. I don't know who this Mike guy is. Right. Let's meet up. Met up with Mike, and he was a great cheerleader. We followed each other on Instagram. He gave me some great tips from the get-go. Never pressured me into joining his team or anything like that. Every time I said, hey, on Instagram, hey, I need a window repair person, he would be the first one in there, sending me a name and a phone number. So I was like, I like that. That's really nice. One day I met up with him and I was like, hey, I think I want to join your team. I want your guidance. I want your expertise. He's been highly successful in real estate. Before real estate, he owned a staffing agency that one of my friends from Deutsche Bank worked at. So he had good references. And I said, I want to join him, learn from him, and see how he got to where he got, because I want to duplicate his systems and his processes.
Right.
And that's why I joined the 904 Home Guide team.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
I imagine, because you're young, well, I think everyone does, but because you're a young person, you just have more. You're out and about and so forth. A lot of your girlfriends or whatever ask you about real estate. What would you say are 2 or 3 things that someone who is thinking about getting into real estate needs to know?
How serious are you? Number one, because like I mentioned earlier, you're not going to make money right away. People think that all you have to do is open the doors and show pretty houses and then you get a check. It's not like that. People have to trust you first. I have had friends that haven't bought from me because I was too new in the business, right? So they decided to go with someone else. So how serious are you? You have to understand that you have to have maybe some savings or some cushion, because it is expensive. You have to buy lock boxes. You have to pay for your brokerage fees. Some brokerages have monthly fees, so you have to invest a lot into it up front and understand that it could take you a little bit before you start making money. Don't be like me. Don't just go to coffee with everyone. Try to actually be purposeful with your business. So I think I would ask that question, like, how serious are you? And is this your plan B or C, or is this your plan A? Because if it's your A, go all in. I will help you. I will guide you to as much as I can, and go online. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of training for free online. Do your research and just go all in and figure out what works best for you.
Did you? Well, I guess you had the agent that sold you the house at Coldwell Banker. So you obviously, I imagine you spoke to him before you even went and took the test.
No, I didn't.
You didn't. You went
all in. Well, I got laid off at Deutsche Bank during COVID.
Okay.
And that was like the turning point that I said, I can't rely on working for someone else. Like, I have to rely on myself.
Right.
I had a mortgage, I had a car payment, I had a 4-year-old at the time, and I'm a single mom. So I said, 100% all of this falls on me. And my son depends on me 100%, so I can't sit here and work for a company. And I didn't know I was going to get called back. Luckily, I came back 3 months later. But during those 3 months, it was 100% on me and, me making money.
That just blows my mind, an institution as big as Deutsche Bank, because I imagine in Germany they would have kept them on the payroll.
Maybe, but we weren't hiring. It was COVID time. We went on a hiring freeze. They cut our pay down to 10%.
Yeah.
And I always live below my means, so I said, you know what, 10% is fine. My mortgage is low, my car payment's low, I can survive with that pay cut. And then they called me one day, HR, and I remember exactly where I was sitting, the conversation I had. HR and my manager called me and they said, I'm sorry, but we have to let you go. And as a single mom, 100% your child and everything relies on you, that was really hard. Yeah. That's when I was like, I'm going to get my license. I didn't call anybody. I just said, I'm going to get my license. Yeah.
No, that's commendable. I mean, about you and your journey. And I really haven't heard a failure yet. Somewhere along there had to be some sort of thing that you did wrong.
Oh, I can tell you. My first transaction was
tell us.
Okay, so it was a condo that looked like a townhouse. So to me, I looked at it and I was like, it's a townhouse. I didn't know anything. I was listing it. Right. And we're going through it. I got multiple offers and I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. I have 4 offers. Surely one of them's going to work. Well, I called my trainer. My trainer didn't answer. It was over the weekend.
At Coldwell Banker?
No.
The trainer at Coldwell Banker?
No, I was at another brokerage for just this transaction. After this transaction failed, I said I'm going to Coldwell Banker for the training. Okay, all right. So I'm not going to say any names, but
that's all right.
I started somewhere else. Anyway, I called my trainer. Trainer didn't answer, and she said, hey, Monday, hey, sorry, I left my phone at home. I'm like, it's 2020, 2021, whatever. How do you leave your phone at home and don't come back for it the whole weekend? So anyway, I ended up listing this condo as a townhouse, obviously with title, all the things, the legal back end paperwork. it all fell apart because they realized, hey, this isn't a townhouse, this is a condo. So it's a whole different process. And the whole thing fell apart. We were like 5 days from closing. Everything fell apart. I was actually in Tulum. That trip that I told you about, I went to Tulum. I was in Tulum expecting to close on this while on the trip, and I ended up losing it all. The seller said, I don't want to work with you. You don't know what you're doing. You're a professional. How did you not know that it was a condo, not a townhouse? And I said, because it looks like a townhouse. And so, yeah, so that was my first failure. And after that, I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't for me. Very next month, I got a buyer lead, closed on it. 30 days. I was like, wow, this wasn't as bad as I thought. So yeah, that is one of the first stories that I can think of as a failure.
I haven't gone into. I was doing this for a while because I like I said, I got all my transcripts. I'm here mumbling, and I want to write a book. And during this time, I was also, I'd like to go out and speak. And one of the things I speak about is the grit of real estate agents, right? And I call it everyone has to have their LLC, right? Said everybody, well, LLC. No, you have to have love, laughter, and consistency. So I'm going to break it down. Obviously, the first question is very simple in the love, laughter, consistency. Why do you love real estate?
I love helping people. Again, like I said, from recruiting, I love helping them find a job and just hearing, oh my gosh, like I got the job. That's so exciting. So right. I felt like I was part of like their family almost. In real estate, it's even more emotional and I feel more connected to them because when I walk into a house with a buyer, first-time buyer, second-time buyer, whatever the case is, and you just look at them and you see that sparkle in their eye, like you know that that's the one. I literally get the chills every time because I look at them and they're like, this is it. Like, and I can just, and we talk about stories. I'm a big like visual person, so we talk about like, oh, this is what you can do for Thanksgiving, and this is what you can decorate and what you can do. So I love doing that aspect of it and helping them buy a house. When it comes to sellers, whether it's a divorce, which is very unfortunate, I get to be that support system for them, and I get to say, okay, this sucks and you're going through a really rough time right now, but here's what you can get out of this. Let's sell your house. Let me take that burden off of you. I'll manage the whole process for you. I'll make it as simple as I can for you so that you walk away and you feel more at peace during an uncomfortable situation. Same thing with the death of a family member. So I like being there for people and helping them. After we close, like my clients can tell you, like I am still their friend. Like we still go to lunch. I'll bring them donuts for Christmas. I give them ornaments. Like I make it special so that they know that I'm still there for them. And it wasn't just a transaction or a paycheck for me. It's more of like you're my family now. Yeah. So that's why I love real estate.
Yes.
Just feel connected to them and like family.
If I had a statistical data sheet, that's one of the expressions that a lot of the best that I've interviewed answer is the post-closing relationship part, that they are still reaching out to you. Obviously, you take it upon yourself. Obviously, you're dealing with a lot of different people, but you take a little bit of time to still stay in touch with them one way, shape, or form. Maybe it might be just social media, and we'll get to that part because I know you spend a lot of time on Instagram. The laughter part, so we got the love, the laughter part, and this may be the story you just told us, but I always feel in life when you're taking on your next challenge. You're taking maybe it's like I said, I know you want to get into luxury, and you're going to now that person with that $2, $3, $4, $5 million home now is calling you, so you're a little more nervous than that person selling the $300,000 because I know that's the area you want to get into because you told me, and it's not a big deal because we look back at those other mistakes we made in life and how we still are here, right? Mm-hmm. How we made it through. Is there a story that you can think of that you kind of revert back to, maybe even tell at cocktail parties as a joke that you laugh about besides the condo townhouse deals?
I think that's like the funniest one that I can think of.
Well, that's a great learning lesson.
That was horrible. I can laugh about it now, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed.
But it is a common mistake for any agent listening out here. Just because it looks like a townhouse doesn't mean it's a single family home attached, because that's what a townhouse is when we're lenders, because we go in there, we can click the one other drop down we have is attached or detached. And a townhouse is a single family home attached versus a condo. They could look like townhouses, but they're zoned as a condo because it's the way the association's built. Latira Links, I just did a deal in there last month. Latira Links, they look like condos. You would think I'm just saying, they look like townhouses. You would think they're townhouses, but they're actually zoned as condos, so it's very important to know. Yes, very important to know the difference, yes. The fees are generally a little bit higher, but you definitely, that's a learning lesson there forget. Consistency is the C part. What do you think you're doing? And I'm sure this has probably evolved over time. What are you doing now in your business consistently, whether it's something you do every morning or you do once a week or whatever it is, but you're doing consistently, you feel moves the needle in your business?
I think checking the hot sheet first thing in the morning, like I go to the gym, I come back home, I shower, change, and then I check the hot sheet, see what's new, see what's sold, see what's expired, so I can tell my clients, either buyers or sellers, I'm like, hey, this just happened in your neighborhood. Remember that house we looked at? The price just went down. So I'm able to talk to them and be that expert, which is why they're hiring you, right? Because they think you're the expert. And Zillow shouldn't tell them. Like, you should be the one telling that person, hey, the price just dropped $5,000 on this house that you've been interested in. Or, hey, this house expired. Let's see how we can maybe talk to the seller.
Or a house just came available in the neighborhood you're looking in.
Right,
because
exactly.
That's very demanding here, too.
So I think that's number one. Number two is just staying top of mind, like reaching out to them if they had surgery. I'm like, hey, how did your surgery go? And I put everything on my calendar. Mm-hmm. Someone has a graduation, I put it on my calendar. Or, which is cool about an iPhone, is you can schedule your text now. So what I do sometimes, as I'm thinking of it right then and there, I schedule out a text to go out on X date at X time. Hey, how was your graduation party? Or how was this and that? One of my clients just he was competing for like a bodybuilding competition. Friday morning, I was like, hey, good luck in your competition. I didn't write that Friday morning. I wrote that like 5 days before.
Right.
But I hit send, and then he got it right then and there, and I looked on my phone, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I scheduled that. So I think just remembering their milestones. If you see something on Facebook or on Instagram, reach out. Don't just give it a like. Comment, say something, stay top of mind, so they remember you and they know that you care about them.
Now, that the scheduling the text message is as little as some people may think that is, it's actually brilliant. Because you're seeing that and you're going like, oh, well, geez, okay, it's competing Saturday. But all of a sudden Sunday or Monday comes by and you forgot that, life, everyone has life, and we have other things going on. You've got a kid, kids are taking us all over the place, right? Mm-hmm. We got so many other things. You got another listing appointment, whatever it may be, and you forgot, even though you wanted to, but you wanted to 3 days before it happened. So scheduling it is brilliant. I mean, even just to put the happy birthdays in there and schedule those to go out there, because you did think of them. You just wanted to make sure you didn't forget them, right. That's really the important thing.
That used to happen all the time. Where I would be like, oh, I got to remember to do this. You get busy, you get a phone call, I'm on the road all the time. So if I'm driving, I'll do it later. Mm-hmm. And then you forget.
Yep.
So the easiest thing to do is just to either put it on your calendar or just schedule the text to go out right then and there, or the email, whatever.
As little as it may be,
it makes a difference.
Don't discount that little message may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or handwritten note, whatever works brilliant. For you. Just make sure that you make your clients feel important and seen. Since we're talking, I think you were going to lead into social media. You do a lot on Instagram. You do a lot of stories. Tell us what. I hate when people ask this question because I don't think it's a valid question. Are you getting any business from it? Because I don't think you know all the time whether or not your business came from Instagram. You may have met the person in the bar, but because he was following you on Instagram, that when he had the transaction, which who knows how long time was the last time you saw that person, mm-hmm. but because he's following you on Instagram and you're telling you, I know you give some advice or what you do, a lot of the stories of, hey, this is what I'm doing today type of stuff. And that stayed top of mind. And he said, hey, I need a real estate agent. I'm going to call Karen. I follow her and I see her stuff all the time. She's always reminding me she's a real estate agent. Right. So I think when people say, oh, are you getting any business from it? You really don't know if the business came from it or not. So I actually ask, like, hey, what made you think of me? Or I will tell you a story. Someone messaged me, my first social media lead. Someone from California, he worked at Coldwell Banker. He messaged me on Instagram and he said, hey, my parents own a home in Florida. Can you help them sell it? And I was like, is this real? I've never met them. You don't follow me. I don't follow you. You just found me on Instagram.
Right.
Sure enough, I looked him up and everything. He worked for Coldwell Banker. He put Realtor in Jacksonville, Florida. My name popped up, my picture, whatever it was, popped up. He messaged me. I listed his parents.
He searched in Instagram for Realtor.
Yeah. Interesting. That's why if you look at my name, and this is a good advice for newer agents, for agents that are on social. Mm-hmm. Next to your name, like my name says Karen Saez, Jacksonville Realtor. So whenever you're looking at my story, if I watch your story or whatnot, it'll say Karen Saez Realtor, Jacksonville Realtor. So he must have typed something in there. I popped up. I work for Coldwell Banker. He worked at Coldwell Banker. He was like, oh, let me reach out to her. I still had to interview with him and his parents, and I got the job. So I listed his parents' house. So that was one. Another one, earlier this year, agent from California, same thing, found me on Instagram, and she reached out. She had a client that was selling her investment property in California and was coming here to buy 2 properties. So I helped her buy 2 properties, and I'm actually selling off-market her another investment property for her right now. So I've gotten repeat business from
I've never used Instagram as a search mechanism. I guess that's probably why I'm like mind-boggled by it.
I use it all the time. If I'm going to Nashville, I put Nashville, and you look at the reels, what comes up, and you start scrolling, and it's like TikTok. I don't really use TikTok, but I know that I probably should. But people search on there all the time. Yeah. Jacksonville real estate, Realtor, buyer's agent, something along those lines.
All right, so to go a little deeper with your post, when you start doing your caption, is there certain things you're also putting in there besides obviously your name? It has Jack's Realtor next to it, but is that search in Instagram also looking at the caption and information that you have there?
I think it looks at the hashtags more than anything. I get some reels that do really well, others don't do so well. I feel like a lot of my carousel posts lately, so we have like multiple photos, those are performing better than the reels that I've been posting. As of lately, I've been asking ChatGPT for like SEO prompts and things like that, just so they can perform a little bit better. So that's been helping. Stories, polls, like if someone comments on a poll, I reach back out to them. I individually text them, or not text them, but reply back on a DM. And I'm like, hey, thanks for responding. What did you think about blah, blah, blah? And we like interact that way.
I probably go to Instagram more. I mean, I do a lot on, well, a lot of anything I post on Instagram goes to Facebook. But what I find myself doing is I want to see what you guys are doing, right? And I want to interact with you and that sort of thing. And what I catch myself doing is when I go to Instagram, and obviously you got the little circles at the top with every, so which you are oftentimes the first person. I'm like, okay, what's Karen doing? I start with your story, right? And I find myself all of a sudden I get caught in the stories. Going along, and then I go, man, I haven't looked at any of the true feed posts, and so I stop myself there and start going down through the different feeds. So the stories are important, and obviously you're putting a lot out there in there, and I think that's people are spending. Do they actually really track? Is there a statistic that you can actually get on how much time people are spending on your stories?
I don't think on stories, but it tells you the amount of, there are stats that you can see on there. How many are new followers, how many are obviously the existing followers, how many people clicked on your profile from your story.
Right.
So that's why it's important to do both. Like do stories for your followers, because if someone's not following you, they're not going to watch your story, obviously. And then also do just regular posts on your feed, because non-followers will see those posts on their Explorer page.
Right.
So that's why it's important.
Yeah, because they want to follow you, then they're going to get you in the stories. So you're going to get, or suggested to watch your stories. What do you think, in your experience, and I think any of the social media, you have to go through a fail forward type of thing. Like, what is it you're doing that you feel gets you the most attention, if I can ask it a better way, as far as Instagram?
So I feel like I could be a lot better on Instagram if I'm being completely honest, and I want to get better at doing more on Instagram. I honestly talk myself out of doing a lot of videos. I'm like, oh, I should do this. And then I'm like, no one's going to care about that. And Mike tells me this all the time, just post the damn thing.
Yeah.
And I talk myself out of doing a lot of it, to be completely honest with you. But I feel like when I talk about personal stories, that's why I don't just post, oh, just closed. If I post a photo of, a client closing on a house, I talk about the story behind it. What, like the condo one. I'm like, oh, we looked at several condos, and then finally we found a house that they liked. And I feel like those that people can relate to, and it's like a story type of telling, people really are attracted to those. They comment more, they engage a lot more with those, versus you're just sold, just listed. Nobody cares about that.
Right.
Like,
yeah, maybe someone in that neighborhood might see that. Yeah, 100%. Because I was just thinking when you're talking about that, because I'm doing a lot of study on the podcast outreach, right? And I'm listening to this one guy grow the show. Kev Michael is his name, and he's now a podcaster are really being. The audio podcasts have flatlined where the YouTube people are watching them more, and they're and actually on TV, phone second, obviously, but the different things in as I got some questions here, we talked about what's trending, And the one way he said he was getting trending questions, he didn't actually say not to do ChatGPT and ask him or go to Google and whatever the analytics they got, is actually go straight to the source, in which you're a source of what questions have you had from your buyers or sellers recently. Because if they're asking you those questions, there's probably thousands of others that have the same similar questions, which we'll rapid fire through the ones I've got here, which is what ChatGPT is saying, what people are asking about real estate in Northeast Florida,
right.
as far as our conversation today. And when you think about that, that's the third person this week that's asked me a similar question like that. I need to do a video on it.
Right.
That should be what should be thinking.
Another
so a little tip
one,
there.
Sorry, real quick. Another one that does really well is if you're talking about, like I did one post where I took the girls out and we did a girls' night. So we went to like 3 or 4 different places. We just got an appetizer and a drink from all of them. And I went around different spots here in Jacksonville. I posted that girls' night out. That's still, till this day, and I did that like last year in December. Till this day, I'm still getting likes, shares. I've gotten a few followers from it. And I do it more so to get, like, obviously people to come to my page and follow me and then see that I do real estate and then hopefully do business together.
100%, yeah.
But seeing those, like, things happening around Jacksonville, like, those get a lot of engagement because maybe you don't know about Cataluna, and I did, and I posted about it. Now you know about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just helping small businesses within Northeast Florida and just telling people what's out there.
Well, 100%, and we should be doing, as business people that in the business that we're in, be doing more Google reviews and all those types of things. But yes, I think for you, especially being a young person, and you're out, doing girls' night out and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's definitely going to attract people in there, and obviously, tagging these restaurants and these places is, and the point being is what you said, is to get people to start following you. Then they'll fall into your real estate videos and go, oh, she does real estate. I mean, I don't think people understand the value of the video, of seeing like watching us today. People who are watching us, their brains are not differentiating that this is a video versus us, like you and I are sitting in the same room together, that they're building a relationship, and you are building a relationship with these people who start following you.
For sure.
Even though may have met you face to face yet, but hopefully in that real estate need, they're going to think of you.
Yeah, I have so many people that follow me. Like I have one guy from New York, never met him, no idea who he is. Comments on all my stories, like super encouraging, super sweet. Hey, great job. Hey, this looks great. Nice hair today. Like, just very nice and encouraging.
Sounds like me when I comment on your stuff.
Yeah, actually, I was talking about you. I know. Yeah. But you just never know. People will tell me, like, girls will say that, like, I've never met you, but I feel like we're friends. Yeah. I had one girl call me. She was like, hey, I want to get into real estate. Can I call you? And I was like, please do. And we just chatted on the phone. She's getting her license she's taking her
And then you
exam,
told her to
November
listen to the
22nd.
Real Estate Excellence podcast,
of course,
right?
I'm like, listen to this podcast. I have a lot of great information. A lot of top agents go on there.
Yep.
Go listen in. But yeah, I feel like videos really help people get to know you a little bit, even if they're in California or New York or whatever the place may be.
Well, I don't discount, because you do it very well and you do a lot of it, of your just, hey, this is what I'm doing, or hey, I'm just leaving the gym. I think the authenticity is a word we haven't thrown out there yet, but it's behind the scenes that a lot of top agents talk about when they're dealing with social media. Be as authentic as possible, and I think that's part of your attractiveness too, is you're being authentic. That I'm out here battling the real estate world, and this is what's going on.
I'm also a mom, and I'm also at the gym, and
Exactly.
I'm also doing that, and that's why I don't have a separate Instagram for real estate. Because I feel like if I have a separate Instagram for real estate, it gets boring after a while, right? Like just sold.
Trying to maintain 2 channels.
And that too. But I just do it so that people know that I'm still a human being. Like I am just like you. I still struggle. I almost did a story today about how slow I'm getting at running, but I decided not to. I was like, I'll save it for another day. But yeah, it's relatable. And then it gets people engaged. Like, hey, you're running, I'm running too. Or hey, you encourage me to run. And then you never know. It may lead into, hey, my dad's looking to buy a house. Can you help him? That's what it comes down to, but it's just you being authentic and you being just who you are, and the right people will gravitate to you.
Right. The similar, like-minded people will gravitate to each other, typically. All right, we're gonna. I got these questions. These are trending questions in Northeast Florida real estate. We'll just make a few comments on each one, but this is what's trending right now. Number 1, is now a good time to buy a home in Northeast Florida, or should buyers wait?
No, definitely. The market stats and everything tell you that in the fall, home prices fall, right? It's a trend over the last 20 years or so. That's when it happens. So right now it is a good time to buy a house, whether it's new construction. Builders are obviously wanting to get their inventory out and sold. So for sure, for that aspect, yes. Also for sellers as well, like the market tends to slow down in the wintertime. So I would say you have more of a competitive approach of, hey, maybe we can go a little bit below or we can negotiate certain things. So yes, it is still a good time to buy. Interest rates have come down a little bit, and maybe you can chime in on this a little bit more than I can. But again, like we talked about earlier, like maybe you can negotiate the seller buying. If the rates scare you, maybe you can say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, like, you know, as your agent, say, hey, instead of bringing the purchase price down, maybe we can negotiate that interest rate to be bought down, either a 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down, whatever the case may be that works best for that specific client.
Yeah. No, but bottom line is what I'm seeing, and I'm sure what you're leading into, right now, condo inventory is huge. You can get some really great deals on condos right now. Maybe it might take you a little time. You're not going to find one overnight, but because maybe there's a certain area you want to be in. But condos right now, if the sellers are getting a little more desperate, they're willing to take less because they've moved on in life or whatever it is. Huge deals. Monthly, yeah. Get your closing. If you're not asking for your closing costs to be paid or whatever, you know, having your closing costs be paid, honestly, people, is better than getting the price $10,000 cheaper, because you're coming out with, you know, 7, 8, 9, depending on the price of the home. Get your closing costs paid. It goes a lot further, because the reality is you're probably going to refinance, hopefully, within the next year. I think we're going to see more of the, you know, I don't think we're going to go below 5, but I think we're going to see hopefully get some low 5 interest rates, or like I said, do a 2-1 buy down interest.
There's options, and that's why it's so important to hire a good agent that knows what they're doing. Because if it's your first time buying a house, you don't know what to ask for, and if your agent hasn't sold many homes, they don't know what to ask for either. So they're just going to go in and say, yeah, I think we should offer this. And
they didn't tell me they didn't have not much cash, or 100%. I think one of the tips that you're leading to there is, don't assume just because your buyers have a lot of money that they want to use the money. Really savvy buyers right now, I was talking to one yesterday, he was going to pull his money out of his retirement stuff. I'm like, hold on a second, you're going to get a 6 high 5% interest rate likely here by the time we close in December, but what's that stuff doing in the market right now? Why would you're already making a sizable down payment, why would you pay cash for the house? Take a $250,000 loan, keep that $250,000 in the market.
Also, cash is deducted on your taxes too if you finance a little bit of it.
Yes, exactly.
There's pros to financing.
What's your outlook on home prices? And which we're kind of leading off this last question. What's your outlook on home prices in Jacksonville and St. Augustine heading into 26?
Well, I know that we're below the median average for the U.S. as a whole, but like I mentioned earlier, I think that they're trending to come down even a little bit more. The last closing that I had last month, we negotiated the price down by $250,000. And I honestly went in confident, but I was like, I don't know, they're going to say yes to this. And sure enough, $250,000 off the purchase price, and we still got $34,000 in concessions for my buyer.
People underestimate. There's a lot of people that bought their home in 2020, maybe 2019. They paid, let's just say, throw a number out there, $400,000. And now it's worth $600,000-$700,000 is what they could get it in the great. And you don't know what's happened in their life and why they moved, and they might be just willing to, hey, yeah, the equity, because the growth, the value of the home if I wanted to sell it, but you know what, I got to get out of here. I just want to cut loose. Or maybe they're in a divorce and they're like, we just want to release this property, get rid of it as fast as possible. You never know until you ask.
Exactly.
You
can't lowball everyone and like offend people, right? That's not what I'm saying. But you just never know, like you said, their circumstances or what's leading them to sell that house.
Yep.
So don't be afraid to ask.
100%. How do you help relocating families, especially military, navigate buying a home from out of state?
This is my favorite thing. So I was a military spouse. So we lived in Alaska and we bought a house sight unseen. You're learning so much about it.
I know, I am, really.
We bought a house sight unseen in like Crestview area, which is like near Panama City Beach and Pensacola area. So my agent didn't do this, but what I do is I do obviously a Zoom call. I understand, like, we do a buyer consultation via Zoom. I figure out what you're looking for, what's important to you, what school, if you have kids, what schools they want to be nearby, and all of that good stuff. And then what I do is I do a video tour of every house that you want to look at before you come here, because a lot of the times I'm helping, like, that person from Maryland. She's not military, but she's relocating here. But I also have a good network of military referral partners or military families that are moving here, because I am military certified. So we do a lot of video tours for them, and then if they're able to fly down and look at the top 5, then we do that. We narrow it down. If not, then they buy the house sight unseen, but I video everything. Like, I go underneath the sink and I turn the water on just to make sure there's no leaks, because the last thing that I want is for them to put a down payment down, pay $500-$600 for an inspection, and then we find out that there's a leak under the sink, something that I could have caught by just simply turning on the faucet and looking down there, right? Like, something so simple. So I try to save my clients money by doing that. I video the neighborhood as well. Like, here's a neighborhood. I also send, like, a relocation guide. I'm like, here's the top 5 areas and the reasons why, what's nearby. So I do a lot for my relocation people.
Yeah. Well, it saves you, that's something you can, do in the evening or whatever. It saves a lot of time when they get here. Because a lot of times, I imagine, as most people, they don't have a huge amount of time. And if you're able to cut out a lot of stuff that might have just worn them down too. You start showing all these properties, and eventually they get worn down, and they might make a choice.
They get overwhelmed.
They confuse the information of 2 different properties, and it's like, let's just go with that one, and then all of a sudden they find out after they moved in, like, hold on a second, this is not really what we
thought it would be.
We thought it would be.
Yeah.
So you eliminate a lot of trash, I guess,
and
that's
like double the work, I guess some people would say, because I'm going out there before, and then once they fly down, then we go look at it again, right? But I feel like it's taken that overwhelming process away from them, because all they have to do is open up their phone or their email, and it's right there, and the property address is on there, it's labeled for them, so it's easier for them to say, oh, this is that house, yes, I like this, no, I didn't like that about it, and that's it, versus them coming down here and looking at 20 properties and getting super overwhelmed. I want to make it easy for them. Moving alone is stressful. I know that.
It could be something as simple of how far it's from school or how far it's from work, and right away eliminates it. And you're not wasting their time driving out there when they get here. You're eliminating those things, and let's just focus on these 5. Because now, as a sales process, you've taken 20 homes, narrowed it down to 3 or 4 or 5, and we're going to go see those, and they're going to make a decision.
Right. And
because that's what they really need help
and
doing.
I don't want them to come down here and say, hey, we looked at 20 houses, we hate all of them. Then I just wasted their time, their money, and I wasted my time and money. So I try to go there before, just to kind of narrow them down, and then once they're here,
I think this question here is very popular, especially obviously buying an existing home. What upgrades or improvements are actually worth doing before listing a home in Jacksonville?
Bathrooms, kitchen, and flooring would be my top 3. Obviously, the roof is important as well. Like, if we're talking about cosmetic stuff, bathroom, kitchen, and flooring. The roof is super important as well. If not, then just say, if you can't pay it right away or can't, replace the roof, then maybe just say, hey, we'll sell you this house, but we will replace the roof before closing. Or
escrow it in or whatever. Anything that those things can be taken care of. Or the hot water heater, obviously, for insurance, because that's a whole other subject.
HVAC.
But I was my wife's an agent. I was talking to her. We were actually talking about this particular subject because we were talking about our neighborhood, because there's a lot of homes in there that was built 20 years ago. The neighborhood started 20 years ago. And there's some homes in there that haven't been updated, and selling homes in there. And obviously there's people who've gone in and they've redid a kitchen, and all of a sudden the person who buys it comes in and redoes the kitchen again. And you just don't know what it is and who that buyer may be. But then you got to strategically set up the pricing accordingly. And again, go back to why you need a great real estate agent that can go in there and say, we could sell this house as the kitchen is, but we'll sell it here as an incentive or whatever, negotiate a type of thing, because you just don't know what the buyer has in mind. Some of these buyers have the money, and they're going to come in and like, we're going to gut this place. We just love the neighborhood. We love the structure of the house, but we want whatever, new kitchens, new bath, and they're going to gut it no matter what you did to it.
That's right.
But it may be the simple attractiveness of that new bathroom that you did that sells it faster.
Exactly. And when you remodel things, you have to make sure that you stay neutral. You can't just put in a black sink, because not everyone's going to want a black sink and a pink toilet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So go neutral, pick lighter colors, go to an open house or a model house rather, and see what's trending, see what builders are doing, maybe try to mimic that.
Yeah. Yeah. What should buyers be looking for or watching out for when touring homes in this market?
I would say, obviously, important things are the age of the roof, the water heater, the HVAC for insurance purposes. Like I said, simple thing as opening up a faucet for the bathrooms, the kitchen, and just checking up for any leaks, because that goes to tell you if there's any active leaks or not. The neighborhood, maybe do your research on that. We can't tell you legally whether it's a good or bad neighborhood, so do your research on the neighborhood, on the area. Drive to it at nighttime and see if you like it. See what you see around there, if it's noisy, if the neighbors are partiers or not. So I would say a few of those things.
Yeah. How long does it typically take to buy or sell a home in Northeast Florida? What are you seeing with your stuff? What are you? Because I know some stuff are selling over first weekend, but other stuff are sitting.
Oh yeah, it all depends on your pricing, your marketing, the condition of the home. I have a seller. This is like my 5th transaction with her. She was a first sell by owner. Anyway, long story short, it's her mom's house that we're selling, and we've been on the market for a year. Different things have happened, ladybird situation. So anyway, a lot of things have happened, but overall I've had this listing for a year. She didn't want to listen, and it was priced too high, and she was like, just do it, just do it, just do it. And I was like, I don't want to take this listing. But again, it's my 5th transaction with her. I was like, okay, we'll do it your way. If it doesn't work out, we'll drop the price. Sure enough, she kind of listened. It took a while, but she listened. And so I would say if you don't price it correctly, especially in today's market, that the buyers have more of an advantage, your house is going to be sitting for a while. And then after your house sits for so long, people start to wonder, like, you're getting desperate to sell, let's lowball you. Or, hey, what's wrong with this house? It's been on the market for 100 days.
Right.
And then to buy a house, average 30, 45 days to buy a house.
Yeah. I was listening to there, and it was triggering, and it's out there statistically, if you're not pricing the home correctly up front, all the things, the expectations are, and then you start lowering the price, and then people are like, oh, well, they're already lowering the price. Let's how far will they go? And it just costs you more money versus just listing it correctly. And if you list it correctly, you might actually, if you hack the right home in the right neighborhood, you might actually get more than that anyway,
right,
and get what you want. But you got to put the right advertisement out there first, the right price. How much do buyers actually need for a down payment in our market today? This was a trending question, so obviously it throws it out there, which really falls into my neighborhood in this. But I want Karen to chime in. What percentage, to tweak off this, are you working with buyers with little to no money down?
A lot of my military buyers, little to no money down.
Yeah.
The VA loans are great options for them. Hometown Heroes, once that has some funding into it, it's a great option for them. I know that you have a lot of down payment assistance programs that people could utilize. So can you chime in on that?
Yeah. I want to. Well, obviously, the VA. I'm not a big fan of the Hometown Heroes for a VA buyer, just simply because especially if they're not putting any money down. Not every VA buyer doesn't put money down, but the ones we're talking about here, low down payment, because it is a second mortgage. It sits there. Right. There's no interest paid on it. You don't have to make a payment, but the reality is with interest rates dropping, you're going to want to refinance if you're in the home for any period of time, likely coming up. And if you do, you got to pay that off.
Right.
They don't, what the word in our industry is, subordinate that second mortgage. In other words, the second mortgage stays as a second mortgage, because if I refinance the first mortgage, the second now is the oldest one, that would actually move into first lien position unless they agree to subordinate. In other words, stay in second lien position. So in this market right now, with rates typically trending in a downward direction, I would not recommend that. I would rather negotiate the seller to pay the cost, because we can put a veteran with the VA loan in a house with little to no money out of their pocket.
That's what I'm able to do normally. I negotiate for the seller to pay either a rate buy down for them, depending on what they want to do as a buyer, what makes more sense for them financially. A lot of them walk away with money back at the closing table. Yeah,
they'll get their earnest money back, whatever, 100%. That, like I said, little to no money. We have a great product here that I love. We call it Planet's Down Payment Assistance, but it's basically tagged behind a FHA loan. And the great thing about it is there's no strings attached. If you're approved for the FHA loan, even a manual underwritten FHA loan, you could have a 580 credit score. If we get you approved on the FHA loan, it will give you have a choice of 3.5% or up to 5%. So 3.5% will make that down payment for FHA. You can get up to 5%, so that extra 1.5% can be used towards closing costs or whatever.
Nice.
But the interest rates are more competitive. It also allows, versus Florida housing, although we still do that, FHA will go to 56.9 on a debt ratio. If you're doing Florida housing, you can't be over 50%. So FHA may approve you, but Florida housing isn't going to give you because you've got to be at 50%. As long as you're approved for the FHA loan, so there's no credit score restrictions. Now, the challenge a little bit, it's not a second mortgage. It just sits there. It's a second mortgage you are making a little bit of a payment on for 10 years, but you are basically taking like a $10,000 loan for 10 years, or whatever, whatever it may be.
And this is why, like you said, every transaction's different. Every person's different. This is why they should call you so that they can find out what their best option is.
Yeah, 100%. That when you talk, I think one of the questions here, what should a buyer be doing before reaching out to a real estate agent? Either calling a real estate agent or calling a lender first. Calling the lender first is not bad because we can make sure we got you aligned, so I can then go to you and say, hey, this buyer, they've only have this much cash, so we're going to do this. You need to negotiate some buyers, closing costs, concessions, and then so you're making the offer correctly. Because I in 20 years of doing this, there's a lot of agents that don't realize their client doesn't have enough money or just has enough money, and you're like, I'm going to empty out your bank account to put you in this house. You're going to move in. You don't even have enough to buy your friends and pizza that night. Yeah, because that does happen. So this is a really good question I wanted for you is what neighborhoods or communities are you most excited about for 2026 for families, investors, and first-time homebuyers?
So there is a new community being built out by the Park Group, which are the same builders that build Nocatee and E-Town. It's going to be sitting right around E-Town area, and it's called Evergreen. So they're starting to develop that area back there. There's going to be, I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of homes back there, but they're going to have a pickleball courts. It's going to be close to the recharge center in E-Town. It's going to connect, but it's not part of E-Town itself. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited.
What kind of price point are we talking about there?
I think in the 400s, 400 and up, up to like the million. Obviously, that they're building out that surf park in E-Town as well, so it's going to be close proximity to that, which will be really fun. I'm excited for them to finish out Seven Pines. I really like Seven Pines. I think it's a beautiful neighborhood. Silverleaf, as you know, it's continuing to grow, which is a really nice neighborhood, great school districts around the area. So those are some that I'm really excited about to see how they continue to develop.
How do you, because we all have, obviously those are your favorites, right? You love going, because there's a lot of positive things, obviously, I imagine you could talk about it. You're attracted to it. We just got done talking about social media and attracting people who are like-minded. So a lot of things that you like, they likely like,
right.
Type of thing. But as an agent, do you find yourself sometimes you have to go, hold on a second, I like that, but I can't, they may like it, but I can't be too forceful or salesy to push what I like, even though I think they would like it, right? You know what I'm saying? How do you tread that line?
So I am not salesy whatsoever, and that's where my interviewer skills come in place, where I just listen. I'm like, okay, tell me what's most important to you. And like yesterday I met a buyer, and he was like, okay, well, I like community. We looked at a condo, and we looked at a single-family home, same price. One had its own private pool. Obviously, the home had its own private pool. The condo had more of like a community pool. He wants community. So I'm not going to push for that single family home, even though I think it's a better option because it's more square footage for the same price and no HOA fees, right? Versus a condo. But I listen to what they want and what they need.
You can pay for a landscaper and stuff.
Yeah, right? But so I listen to that. I'm like, okay, well, what's important to you? Well, I want to be able to walk to Publix. Okay, well, then I'm going to figure out what neighborhoods are around Tamaya, one of them, right? So you can kind of maybe leave Tamaya, a long walk, but you can get to Publix, or maybe what neighborhoods fit the criteria that you're looking for. If you like to go on walks, right? I'm not going to put you on Kernan because where are you going to walk around your neighborhood? Yeah, but that gets kind of boring, right? Yeah. So you have to really listen in to what your buyer's needs are, their wants and their needs, and try to match that. So yeah, I might love E-Town, but you don't. You hate the traffic, you hate this, you hate that. So I'm going to try to figure out what you're looking for and try to think outside the box, talk to other realtors, talk to other lenders, figure out, hey, I only know these neighborhoods, but what do you recommend? This is what they're looking for. And that's why we collaborate and we all come together as agents and we talk to each other and we figure out, hey, I have this buyer looking for this. And you're like, oh, I have a listing that has exactly that criteria that you're looking for.
Do you know you just gave like about 5 to 10 different reels right there?
No.
I like to go for a walk. Where would you buy in Northeast Florida?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I want to walk. I want to walk. I want to be able to walk to Publix.
Yeah.
Here are neighborhoods that you can walk to Publix from. Those are actually, when you think about it, People are,
looking for that.
Yeah, because obviously he asked you. I guarantee there's not, or obviously, although I'm not a big fan, this is a pet peeve of mine, is the golf carts.
Knockety?
I know golf carts, knockety, they leather,
But
man, it is, people don't realize it's so dangerous. And I'm seeing so many things out there, not to be negative, but that neighborhood allows that, right? So if you want to drive a golf cart to Publix, here are a handful of neighborhoods in Northeast Florida you can do that in.
a great
boom,
idea.
boom, boom. So I think.
And you know what I learned? Zillow is now tied to ChatGPT. So a lot of people, what they're doing now is they're leaving Google and they're going to Gemini or ChatGPT and they're saying, I want a house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet, close to Starbucks.
Yes.
And it'll ChatGPT, which is now tied to Zillow, will send you a list of homes that are close to that.
Yes.
So it's so nice.
Yes.
Like, I love AI.
Yeah. Actually, that luncheon that you didn't go to back in March, I think it was something. You had something. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out.
Yeah.
But Lyman is actually creating that so that can go on directly on your site.
Oh, that's right.
That the AI, he actually, I mean, he's using AI natural language, so he can put that directly on your site. So you can say, hey, you can go search, and people naturally. But he wants it built like you're saying. Someone says, I want to be within 20 minutes of work. Here's the addresses. I want to be able to pass a Starbucks on the way there. I mean, all that stuff. You can spill it in there. And actually, I did something the other night. I have a football game out in Lake City on Friday night, one of the high school playoff games to officiate, and there's like 10 of us in the crew, the 7 officials and the clock operator. So we're like, well, where can we all meet up and carpool out there, right? I actually put in everyone's address in it, and I said, okay, we're going to Lake City for the football game. Where should we meet up? And it mapped out everyone's address and then told you exactly, you should meet at this right here because it's got plenty of parking and blah, 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 blah.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's amazing.
But that can be brought right into real estate and what we're talking about. So
absolutely.
We did talk about down payment. I think we covered the 10 questions that I've got here. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Karen?
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm super honored to be here, excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, there's some tidbits about you today that I learned. I didn't even realize. I didn't realize you were born in Colombia and then lived in Alaska. That was, that's quite a shock of geography there.
Just so I'm allergic to the cold, and I never knew that until I went to Alaska.
Allergic to the cold?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing. I met a client who was also allergic to the cold, so I know it's a thing now, but I get like hives on my legs.
It gets below a certain temperature?
Yeah. It hasn't happened in Florida, but in Alaska it would happen quite often.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm itchy. What's going on? And it was just my legs, and as soon as I got warm, they would go away.
Never heard that before.
Nothing. And I met a client, a client as well, who the same thing happened to him, and I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one.
Well, Karen's contact information or Instagram is everything's going to be in the show notes, obviously, and everything I put out there. So tune in, whether you're following on Instagram or you're watching the YouTube. Obviously, this is streaming live right now. The podcast will go out live on Monday, but all in the show notes, you'll have all her contact information. So if you enjoyed the show here and have questions with her, please reach out and please leave a review. I need some more reviews. I don't know. I think Apple Podcast doesn't make it friendly to leave a review. You have to actually go through a training to figure out how to leave a review on Apple.
Insane.
Yeah, it is. You would think with all the technology today, I know every time I go on a Zoom call or something, the first thing, or Google Meet or whatever, first thing that pops up as soon as you close out the call is, how was the call? You would think
they should make it like that.
They should make it every time you listen to
5-star, whatever. Yeah.
As soon as you pause or click out of a podcast, it should pop up and say leave a review. They get more.
Great idea. If Apple's listening.
Yeah, it's Apple. Yes, and Spotify or all the others out there. But I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Great show. Thanks, Karen.
Thanks for having me.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.